Another one of the military bands making their way. We have the Grenadier Guards today, the Coldstream Guards, the Scots Guards, the Band of the Welsh Guards, the Royal Marines, and the Central Band of the RAF. They are all performing at various points on the route. And they will be entertaining the crowds with some military music, as you'd expect, but also, if I know the bands well, with some pretty popular music too. These are the Welsh Guards making their way up to Buckingham Palace. So we'll be looking forward to them. Formed in 1915 and very well known for their high standards. This is a royal wedding with a difference. Lots of coaches, as I was explaining. There will be formal processions later, but lots of practical minibuses and coaches to get people up to Westminster Abbey for this initial phase. And if we have a look inside the Abbey once again to see who's just arriving, we'll spot some other well-known faces, because the guests are all now being made to... Normally it's the bride, of course, keeps us waiting, but today it's the groom. But to be fair, it's not really a matter of panic at this stage, because there's a good 45 minutes to go before the service starts. They're on their way. And a splash of red, which tells us that Prince William is in his uniform as Colonel of the Irish Guards. He was appointed Colonel of the Irish Guards in February, first Royal Colonel of that regiment. Prince Harry is an officer in the Household Cavalry, who is remote. They're looking calm, they're looking contented, looking very together, and acknowledging the crowd very happily. And I'm told reliably that Prince Harry does have the ring in his possession. He's carrying the ring with him to the Abbey. It's a great sight. The expanse of the Mall. Prince William of Wales makes his way to Westminster Abbey for his wedding. Now known as the Duke of Cambridge, the Earl of Strathern and Carrickfergus. But I suspect he'll always want to be known quite simply as Prince William. Turn right towards Horse Guards Parade. Very familiar route for the princes, because they're often here in June for the Queen's birthday parade. This year, of course, Prince William will be on the parade as Colonel of the Irish Guards. Prince William, who is now a fully functioning seeking helicopter pilot, serving at RAF Valley in Anglesey, North Wales. That's where he's been living for some time. And Catherine Middelton there too. They're looking forward to, they say, a relatively quiet existence after today's great pomp and ceremony. Salute from the Guard of Honour in the Middelton outside our Horse Guards building. That building, by the way, still officially the entrance to the royal palaces. That's why it's being used today. Out onto Whitehall. The crowd were gathering at 5 o'clock this morning. Past the memorial on the left to the women of the Second World War. Past Downing Street, where there'll be a street party later on. Past the Senator. Horses salute the war dead. Prince Harry, who's recently been promoted, by the way, he's captain in the Household Cavalry in Blues and Wells, but he's on attachment to the Army Air Corps. Promoted earlier this month after spending 5 years in the army, joined in January '06. Of course, he famously served in Afghanistan a few years ago. Through Parliament Square, very soon they'll be at the Great West Door again. All along Broad Sanctuary, crowds are 20 deep, and then we have the mass cracks of the world media, ready to take those memorable images. There they are on the right-hand side. The banner of Westminster Abbey and the crest of Edward the Confessor still flying above the Northwest Tower. That will change when the Queen arrives. The bells of Westminster Abbey ring out as Prince William arrives for his wedding service. Then we have a better view, really, of Prince William, his garter sash and star, 1,000th member of the Garter admitted by the Queen, and his RAF wings. The ring of bells at Westminster Abbey, and after this service there'll be a special peal which will last 3 hours when the service is complete. The Dean of Westminster on the right, Dr. John Ford. He's responsible for the spiritual life of the Abbey. He's answerable to the Sovereign. Westminster Abbey is what we call a royal peculiar. The senior clergy here are answerable to the Sovereign and not to any archbishop or other part of the Anglican communion. There's a very strong bond between the monarch, as Prince William will be one day, and Westminster Abbey. And this, of course, is where one day he will be crowned king. Quite a responsibility for Prince Harry, not just for the speech which he has to deliver later, but he had the stag do to organise, which he apparently did with a good deal of energy and diligence and secrecy. That gave him a lot of pleasure. And what's going to happen is that the Receiver General of Westminster Abbey, who's responsible for all the administration of the Abbey, will lead the Prince and his best man, his brother, of course, Prince Harry, along the nave. They'll know all about the flowers and the trees because they were part of planning them. They've seen them in a few rehearsals, so will not take them by surprise. I'm sure they'll be delighted with the result. Leading them all the way along the nave, through the choir screen, the organ loft, which splits the Abbey, in a sense, and then into the choir for the more intimate area where that wedding ceremony will take place in about 40 minutes' time. Since 1066, it's a remarkable thing to say, every coronation has taken place here, apart from two, Edward V and Edward VIII weren't crowned, but every other king and queen crowned here at Westminster Abbey. It is a cradle of royal power. Simon Sharman, the historian, is still with me. As we see Prince William making his way here, we feel all that history resonating.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, 1066 was, as everybody out there knows, don't have to be a history graduate to know, there was a very quick coronation for Harold to make sure that he was staking his claim in front of Edward the Confessor and he came to grief. But what William, now the Duke of Cambridge, must be feeling is that this, in some sense, is the overture to a grey arc of a career in front of him, which indeed will be consummated in a much more formal, august, solemn way when he's crowned.
William, as promised, is just greeting a few friends and other acquaintances.